Ah, yeah. Hey everyone, how are we doing? Welcome. It looks like my input is really high, but I'm not sure the sound is any good. Hang on a second. No, it is on the Blue Snowball. It's weird. Something weird's going on with it. This, I think, is about to be, and this is really saying something, the most technical difficulty-ridden episode of Red Planet ever recorded. We have to I was late to the stream. I'm hosting the stream this time. I need to sort things on the fly to make it all work. Kira is away, Tim is away. Our usual video processing thing, our usual video streaming service is down. This is the disaster episode. Luckily, it's going to be a really cool one, and I think you're all going to really like it. Let's get over to... I'm just doing some setup now to grab the... the beautiful DJ Mule onto the stream so we can begin properly. I just... What? Here we go. What do we need? A window capture. Today we're going to be talking to someone from the London Makhnovists, who are an anarchist squatting organization, who basically do squatting, but it's not for just the purposes of living somewhere. It's for political activist purposes. There it is. Oh, there's my beautiful boy. Okay. Mule has been captured. Mule has been captured and is about to be on screen, and we can begin the thing. I'm doing a huge amount of improvising this as I go along. It's a bit of a disaster. Hopefully, it will not all be devastatingly terrible. I know I'm filling everyone with an enormous amount of confidence right now. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Red Planet, I guess. Okay. Mule!
Hello!
Hello! Did you like my intro?
I didn't hear it. I don't know what's going on.
I was just lowering everyone's expectations. I was just making sure that the expectations are absolutely through the floor.
That's really good. That's a really good idea.
Everyone knows it's going to be a literal shit show.
Because I still can't find the image where Tim is not, for when Tim is not here. I'm scrolling through
really
all of
stuff.
it.
This is
yeah.
Good.
What a great episode. Welcome to the Mule and Sophie episode of Red Planet.
I think the Mule and Sophie episode being just raw chaos kind of works well. I think that's good. I think that works out pretty well for us, to be honest.
1000%. Believe it or not, we do have a very awesome show lined up for you tonight.
We seriously do. We seriously do.
It's going to be really, really cool. Obviously, we're going to introduce our guest later on. And we do have news and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be normal, as much as normal could be, from two people from Normal Island.
So the most normal, actually, really.
Yeah, extremely normal, actually. Okay. Normal squared.
Whenever we locate the image for Tim being missing. So Tim is missing... But you will notice that in normal Red Planet... I'm just saying normal too much now. In Red Planet tradition, we have the missing image for Kira. Yeah. We do not even have the missing image for Tim. That's how bad this is. This is Tory Britain in full
This
swing.
Is what it does to you. This is actually what it does to you. Listen, if me and Sophie didn't have the strain from living in under the Tories, then everything here would be fine. You know, we would have had the time to find the image.
There's a host shortage. There's a food shortage. There's a worker shortage. Everything is running out.
Literally.
I'm gonna have to reconfigure the cameras when our guest joins because it's gonna jump all around because we're doing it through Discord today. It's beautiful. It's going so well. I'm so excited for us. What else is wrong? Should we talk about what else is wrong before we get to anything? Like,
yeah, why not?
We're not using the video streaming thing, so your video is gonna be intermittently like weird.
That's fine.
My eyes stopped working, so now I have these.
Oh right, yeah, you got glasses now. Yeah. You're in the glasses gang.
Yeah, I've joined the real BreadTube elite. Specky Four Eyes nerds.
PogChamp. That's fucking right.
So
I got some good news.
Yeah.
I found the image for Tim.
Fantastic. Okay.
I'm gonna
finally something is going right.
I'm gonna get you that right now. That is in your DMs.
I've just realized I have
now.
I've preloaded the image of Kira being gone because if I'm hosting it, that means Kira's gone.
Yes.
That's just automatically slotted in there, and I didn't figure on needing more than that. I didn't figure we would have such a host shortage, but unfortunately, that's just Tory Britain again. That's just what we find ourselves in. Why does
it is?
Okay, I just tried to call the file Tim missing, and it says Tim missing already exists. So
you made this. You made this image.
I had it the whole time.
Like I found it in the mod chat, and you literally posted it.
I can't believe I fucking
so
done this.
Good.
Jesus
I love
Christ.
it.
All right.
I fucking literally love it.
Let's quickly go and add new source instead, and add source, and it can be, where is it? It's Tim missing. Where is my boy? Where is my? Let's just search for Tim missing then.
I don't know about you, B, but I am fucking sweating.
That was the other thing that's wrong. That's the other thing.
That's wrong.
It's so fucking hot. The weather's broken as well. There is a shortage of usual British cool.
Broken Britain, broken climate. Can't believe it, you know.
It's shocking. The Tories couldn't even get us some rain. That's how fucked up.
That's right.
That's how much they failed us.
Yes.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Right. Everything's relatively normal now. So while I go, I just checked the other scene, and it's extremely not normal over in the other scene. So that's good news.
Okay.
But I'm going to quietly work on the other scene for a second, and hopefully it'll be normal by the time that we actually have to change to it.
No worries. That's absolutely fine.
Cool. Do
you want to just real quick take a picture for the Twitter?
Yes.
Just real quick?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do that. I'm learning how much Kira does, and I feel ashamed of myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. This is why I tried to thank her at the end of every stream recently, because I started thinking about like, I feel like Kira's got like so much to do during like the streams, and we like never say thank you. I was like, we got to change that.
Yeah.
So
chat, please appreciate. This is why, by the way, Kira's missing image just says chat wasn't nice enough. But really, it should just be everyone wasn't nice enough. We all should appreciate her more. Okay.
What we're experiencing now is like that Simpsons episode where Marge goes to Rancho Relaxo and the entire house falls apart.
The literal walls of the Red Planet house are falling off because that's how much she keeps together.
Tim is Maggie. Maggie's gone missing, looking for Kira.
Okay, chat.
Let's pose.
Chat, get ready. Say your nicest messages now.
Get them all in there.
All right.
And that should be enough.
There we go. We're gonna get a cheeky little screenshot going. Hell fucking yes. I'll just tweet it. I'll just do this.
All right.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'm on it. I'm on it. Why don't you chat some shit about the episode? That came off really mean.
No, it's fine. I do chat shit. That is me chatting shit. So, chat, how are you all doing? I hope you're feeling really good. I hope you're feeling really excited about today's episode. We do have an amazing guest on from I don't even know what the official name is, but they're just like the Makhnovists.
Yeah, the London
based
Makhnovists.
in London.
Yeah,
the London Makhnovists. And really, really, really awesome stuff. They've done a lot of cool direct action. Again, just to reiterate, because we kind of missed out a little bit on this in the last episode of Red Planet, we here at Red Planet do not advocate for the committing of any crimes, and of course, the law is the arbiter of all morality.
That is true.
However, the material conditions that are put on the working class by capitalism and the hierarchies that uphold capitalism will indeed drive people to commit crimes.
Yeah.
And so therefore it is our job to kind of report on that.
Yeah.
And that is what we are doing.
Yeah.
Now, in relation to that, the London Makhnovists, the representative from London Makhnovists, who's coming on later, Alex, has got some really awesome things to tell us in terms of direct action against cops and like how cops basically abuse their powers. We've got
I hate when people do direct action against cops because
I know it's so
the
bad.
law is the arbiter of morality. I don't want that at all.
It's so naughty.
But
it's so naughty.
It certainly does happen, though.
It does happen, and it has happened, and it will continue to happen.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
I would go as far as to say, because I do, and we all do at Red Planet, believe that the law is the arbiter of morality. If you steal a loaf of bread for your starving family, death immediately. That's our position.
That's the best punishment. That's the best.
Again,
throughout history, actually, that has worked. There is famously no more stealing as a result of that. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it works, and that's the official Red Planet position. Everyone from Red Planet supports that. You can ask Kira and Tim about that next week when they're back. Or whenever. They'll definitely know what we're on about, and they'll definitely be able to read the sarcasm. In fact, if you just tweet at them and you just ask what other things should require the death penalty, they'll give you a full list. They'll be like getting medicine for children, jaywalking to help an elderly woman across the road, existing as a queer or trans person. Oh, absolutely.
Being an immigrant, all that stuff.
Yeah, the whole lot. It's going so well. This is going
very good.
So well.
A very good normal stream. So also the other kind of stuff that the Makhnovists have been doing are direct action to help the homeless. Extremely based stuff, and a protest against the eviction of homeless people from a homeless shelter.
That's really
cool.
And
some other really awesome stuff on top of doing squatting. So we're going to hear more
fuck yes
about that from Alex later on. But in the meantime, we've got you some news.
We certainly do. I'm nearly ready to actually show the news on screen like a good girl.
That's
I've been
fine.
Working so hard behind the scenes to sort this out.
You're a very good girl.
Thank you, Mule.
In the grand scheme of like good girls, I would say you are the goodest.
This is too much of a peek behind the scenes, Mule. We can't let them know. Okay. Cool. All right. Do you want to... I put this first one in and I find it quite funny. So let me tell you about a funny little piece of news.
Yes.
This week, an Avanti executive, because there are ongoing train strikes, and like, not right now, crucially, chat, you need to understand, there are not strikes right now. There have been strikes, there will be more strikes, but strikes in the UK have to obey a bunch of rules that make them, like, fit inside this little box, right? And and so one of those, is like, you have to be completely aware of when they're going on, right? They can't be a surprise, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But an Avanti executive has said that the reason that there are no there are no workers on any of the trains is because there's secret strikes.
Oh,
secret strikes.
Right. Secret strikes.
I wanted to report on this one because I just feel like Secret Strike sounds like the name of like a Marvel summer event. Like
hell yeah.
Secret Strike coming to a cinema near you. Like it's literally what's going on is literally that they just haven't hired enough people. They've been pushing out all the people who want and deserve and are striking for better working conditions and pay. And they just don't have enough workers anymore. And then they're like, this is a secret strike. Like, it's, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you were right. That is extremely funny. What the fuck?
Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy that one.
Oh, wow.
So, that's the... anything else on the strikes or anything before we move on?
No, I mean, just that, like, I think that there is a very, very real reaction that we could see from CEOs happening all the time, like, at the moment. And if you are in Britain, you will be able to see this if you just kind of up your observation for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where they publicly telegraph how terrified they are of strike action. For example, I covered this on my stream on Thursday.
Yeah.
The CEO of British Gas or EDF, I can't remember which one. No, it wasn't EDF. It was either E.ON or British Gas. Had said in response to the Don't Pay campaign, "Oh, nobody should do that. That would be really, really bad. Please don't do that. If you do that, that will be worse for everybody. So if you do misbehave, the entire class will have to stay behind and it will be your fault. The bills will go up for everyone and it will be your fault."
I don't know about you, mate. Someone sounds scared.
Right, exactly. And also, the extra funny thing that he said, extra funny because if it wasn't funny, it would be depressing, and it is depressing, and that's why it's funny, but anyway, whatever. That's another debate. But, like, the other extra depressing / extra funny thing that he said was, you know what, if you can't afford your bills, what you should just do is get debt advice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so...
what's the line from Christmas Carol? Are there no workhouses, no prisons?
Right.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It is actually literally just Victorian Britain, especially when you think about, like, the heat banks thing.
Yeah.
That's, you know, so.
No, it's true. It's true. Like, this is what you get for... You know, we can say, like, 20 years of Tories, but realistically, between Blair and a good 20 years of Tories before Blair, it's just more like about 50 years of Tories, isn't it?
Yes.
We just get fully catapulted back to Victorian Britain. There's even Tories walking around with top hats on who have children named things like Sextus. It's actually beyond parody.
It is.
All right, cool. Let's talk about the next piece of news. Oh, actually, you know, I did have one more thing. While you were saying there about CEOs trying to respond to what's going on, I saw... Let's jump over to this one and I'll show you it. Sorry about there'll be the delay of seeing it on stream.
That's all right.
This was in my fucking recommended news feed, and it makes me sick. This CEO is going viral on LinkedIn for posting a selfie while crying after laying people off.
Oh, yeah! Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, I heard about this. What the fuck?
He's just this soft boy CEO being like, it's really hard for me too, guys.
Yeah, like, you know, what is this? Like, what is the message that he's trying to share? That's the thing. Good God.
I saw the delay there. I saw the moment where you actually got to see the guy.
Yeah, just now, right?
Yeah, apparently, yeah, he's trying to show that CEOs are people too. And it's just like, my guy, you've made people out of a job. You've made, you know, like, fuck off.
Yeah, this is kind of similar to. Are you aware of the Noah Samson video where he like talks about the landlord influencer?
No, that sounds hilarious.
It is hilarious, and I highly, highly recommend it.
All right.
So like, you know, Noah goes over this like landlord who makes TikTok content and basically exploits his tenants.
Yeah.
Saying things like, oh, you know, these tenants were doing drugs, so I had to make them homeless, basically.
Well,
and oh my God.
On Red Planet, we do think that drugs are
not just illegal, but wrong, morally.
Yeah, they're extremely wrong. And so, gotta hand it to the landlord. That's definitely a normal and moral reason to make someone homeless.
Oh, yeah.
And potentially get further in their addiction.
Yeah.
With removing access to, having an address, which could mean you could potentially get psychiatric help or whatever kind of help you would need.
Any kind of help, really.
Any kind of help.
Even get a bank
you
account. You can't have
exactly.
a bank account. Yeah, anything.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. I think B-Rat's got it in the
sucks.
chat. Landlord TikTok is pure evil.
Landlord TikTok.
So this CEO is kind of like, he's got that landlord's energy, because that landlord did a response video.
I'm getting
to
an ad
nowhere.
for pregnancy tests. It will end momentarily.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
no,
worry,
I'm getting another ad. No, you carry on. It's fine.
so like, he did a response video to Noah's video, and in that response video, he was like really trying to be like, oh, nobody wants to do this. Landlords are out here, they're creating homes. Landlords are out here creating homes.
Every landlord physically built the home you live in.
That's right. I think what's happening is that because class consciousness is now so prevalent in the online space, that people like CEOs and landlords, they no longer live in like an ivory tower somewhere and don't have to interact with the proles. They now have to see the actual damage that they do, and so I think they have to reckon with themselves and be like, okay, I am hurting people, so how do I tell people that I don't like doing that?
And it seems like this guy's answer was just like, I'll explain why my tenants are scum.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, and the other guy's answer was, I'm gonna cry and post a picture on LinkedIn.
I just love the idea of a crying selfie on LinkedIn, of all places. Just like I can't conceive of like trying to communicate this to anyone anywhere. Like, my feelings have to come out somewhere. I need to put them on social media. The first site that comes to mind is LinkedIn, because you're a fucking you're an awful startup bro whose entire life you're on the Sigma grind set. You get up, you think about your company, you go to the gym, you have coffee meetings, you go to the bar afterwards. It's such a hard day. It's such a hard life for you, and then you have to fire some people, and that makes you cry. So you should let everyone know on LinkedIn, your favorite social network. All right, let's
so absurd. Let's
talk about the next thing. So I'm gonna drop this link in chat because I want people to be able to check it out as well. This is what am I doing? Mule, tell me what this is. I'm posting it around.
This is Sri Lankan anarchists are having interviews about their struggle against the forces trying to knit the abhorrent status quo back together.
Yes, they are.
So what this is, essentially, there is always a kind of bizarre want, or I guess conspiracy, if you would call it that, Sophie, conspiracy on the left, kind of narrative that if something excellent and based happens, the CIA did it.
Yes.
And a lot of people, especially when we've been covering Sri Lanka on our show, not a lot of people, but we've had some people say things like, are we sure the Sri Lankans are all leftists?
Right.
Are we sure that these haven't been paid by these people who despise the IMF? Are we certain that they haven't been paid for by the CIA? And this is kind of just confirming that those people are fucking idiots and are Western colonialist white person brained, and they just have no insight into what's going on in the imperial periphery.
I think
because
an absolutely crucial part of what's going on here is they don't all have to be Das Kapital thumping avowed Communist Party members, do they?
Yes.
Yes. We saw that big crowd of people flooding into the Sri Lankan presidential palace, and it's that's just a crowd of people whose lives fucking suck because President Gotabaya, is it?
Yes.
Has been absolutely fucking the country by hiring all his friends, by just piling every every scrap of wealth that is available through the apparatus of the state into the bank accounts of his friends and family. And they're sick of it, right? They don't all have to be well-read, theory-educated communists to get that they need to fucking do something. And so it's just very frustrating when there's this kind of popular mass uprising and people's only response can be like, this must be funded by the CIA. Like, what does it benefit us to imagine that America is just literally like a god-level entity in the world? A literal, like, a literal omniscient, omnipresent power.
Right, exactly. Just bear with me a little second. I'm just getting like a bunch of feedback
But yeah, the thing I was gonna say was also like, this is a cool. The reason I was sharing this article in the chat was this is also a really good article for understanding why there might not be, you know, as many leftists as there could be in Sri Lanka, because the people that they've talked to who are anarchists are actually quite explicit about the fact that, like, socialism has a bit of a bad rap in Sri Lanka because of specifically, like, the successes or seeming successes of, like, neoliberal projects in the region. There was a really... Here we go. Leftist politics, like I said, have been made unpopular here by pseudo-leftist parties and groups, such as the JVP. Most youth view socialist ideology with contempt. For them, socialism is for boring college professors, annoying undergrads, bullshit politicians whining about Western imperialism from the podium. For young people, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka is a failure compared to more prosperous capitalist nations. The Asian tigers, right, that's what I mean about neoliberal projects, such as Hong Kong and Singapore, are viewed as what Sri Lanka could have been if it fully embraced free market policies. But Sri Lankans tend to overlook the fact Hong Kong and Singapore are brutal police states incompatible with laid-back and easygoing islanders such as themselves. Sri Lankans are not aware of anti-authoritarian leftism. So that's what's really interesting about this article, is like speaking kind of from a place where there's a lot of people who've bought into like the free market lie, and people who've been poisoned against the possibility of socialism, but speaking as anarchists, and they're like, look, there's another way. There's another way. It doesn't have to be like this. And so I find it to be an interesting article. That's why I've shared it in the chat as well. There were a few particular questions that I took in the notes. What do you expect this next phase of struggle? Where's that? It's down the end somewhere here. What do you expect this next phase of struggle to look like? So this is interesting because we've been covering the Sri Lankan protests for a while. We've covered it as it evolved into mass uprising. Some would call it revolution. We'll see where it goes from here. But these are people who are on the ground. These are people who are involved in mutual aid and direct action. These are anarchists being interviewed from the ground, and they're, you know, we can see what they expect, and that's really interesting. So, given Ranil Wickremesinghe's reputation as a brutal enforcer and sly politician, the movement will face many challenges that it hadn't faced in the previous months. Reactionary and fascistic forces are regrouping as we speak and will launch counterattacks to avenge the humiliation faced on May 9th. There have been these, the uprising, basically. We hear that the state apparatus is identifying key protest leaders in the hopes of either intimidating or bribing them. We also know that political agents and government plants are working hard to divert and discredit public dissent. And that's interesting, especially because that ties to something we reported on Sri Lanka last week, that the head of the teachers union, a chap called Joseph Stalin, had been arrested.
Right.
And so that's completely in line with what we're literally seeing, is that the state is currently trying to identify key protest leaders and shut it down. But like we said last week, I don't think that's going to work, because this is just a movement of people who are dissatisfied with the way things are and want to change it. And they might be able, you know, I think what they're aiming to do is eliminate any kind of class consciousness, any kind of leftism out of the uprising, so that the people who are there the only people left will be people who are like, well, capitalism, maybe it can still work. We just need another shot with a better guy, kind of thing. Which I think the only response to that is the well-worn socialist adage, you can cut all the flowers, but you cannot stop the spring.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, this repression will not will not it's not going to like be possible to repress it in the long term.
No, that is the revolutionary optimism. That is like the material conditions of capitalism will just fucking make revolution happen.
Yeah, and I mean, they already are here. I think that this is like, I think it's really important to understand that Gotabaya like gave them a little kick into a worse situation, but like even really a deeply shitty or deeply excellent like state leader can only like change things so much. There's still ultimately like just the market forces. Like if you are just a small nation in the global capitalist market, you're gonna get fucked over and over and over again, because that's just the nature of how the market works. There need to be winners and there need to be losers, and it's always going to be the biggest party who's the winner over and over again, and that's America.
Absolutely.
But speaking of winning and losing, the next question in the interview, and I thought this was really interesting, was what would it mean to win? The ultimate win for the people of Sri Lanka to rise up as one, overthrow their political masters, and seize the means of production. The island would be organized around collectives of fully autonomous workers and farmers, free to make their own decisions, and build a truly libertarian land. Libertarian in the original sense, not the way that our American friends watching might be familiar. This is going to be such an anti-American stream, I'm now realizing. We're just the the bruvs have overtaken the stream, and we're just going to make it as British as possible.
That's right. Right. It's time for all that brotherphobia, all that repressed.
It's time for anti-American action.
That's right. This is anti-Yankee action.
Sri Lanka existed in a self-reliant way for centuries. If the country is free from the tyranny of the state and capital, it would be a virtual utopia of people living for themselves and not for some bullshit nation-state ideal. So that's pretty cool.
That fucks.
Yeah, that fucks. That high-key fucks. So let's carry on a little bit. I'm going to read you a couple more of like the question and the anarchist answers to it, and you can kind of give me your thoughts. What are lessons from Sri Lanka for struggles elsewhere? Sri Lanka teaches that spontaneous protests can weaken the will of a tyrannical regime. It also teaches the importance of solidarity because it united many political currents and ideologies around one purpose, like the Spanish Civil War.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a really based sort of analysis, because it's like, it's rough, right? Because this is kind of what I'm going to say here links back to what I was talking about when it comes to like people just being like, oh, the CIA are doing this, this, because it's like when everyone was making comments about Ukraine, and you know what I mean? Because people love to analyze things, especially Westerners, white Western colonialists, love to analyze things from their perspective and their perspective alone. And ideally, the entire world would get behind, the Sri Lankan revolution, right? Just like kind of a lot of people, not the entire world, but a lot of people got behind the Spanish Civil War against the fascists.
Yeah.
And in the same way that a lot of people should be getting behind the anti-Russian narrative, which is the correct narrative, and sort of move away from this concentrated kind of like, oh well, Ukraine is a bad state as well kind of thing,
right?
Like I remember reading in Anarchist in Organized 96, like the one where there was the Ukraine special edition.
Very good.
Ukraine anarchists were getting really mad. It was like, listen, I think one of them was basically saying, you tell me that I'm a piece of shit for fighting alongside a Nazi against an imperialist force when you're forced to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people lose perspective with that shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you
like
mentioned conspiracy theories on the left a second ago, and I think it's important to note that like you just said, people are so used to just like only our perspective on things, only our perspective from way over here. And that makes it really easy for conspiracy theorists to like get a little foothold, because a huge amount of what you see from like conspiracy theorists is they have like one single source from Ukraine, where someone's
Yeah.
saying everyone fighting Russia is a Nazi, and it like the one person saying that is like a far right Christo-fascist who like worships Putin, but like they are Ukrainian, and so like because we're so used to just looking at things from way over here and having no kind of outside input, we see like one single dissenting voice and we're like, oh shit, I guess these conspiracy theorists are onto something. You know, I guess these anti-imperialists really know what they're talking about here, and Russia is not actually just trying to build its own empire. Or, you know, the same is true in Syria. Is literally true with Sri Lanka, where people have been so quick to go like, shit, what do I actually know that actually has any kind of basis, any kind of source on the ground from Sri Lanka? Well, if this guy is telling me it must be the CIA, maybe it is the CIA, because, like, I don't know fucking anything.
Yeah. I've done no research. I don't care to do any research because deep in my brain, I've still not addressed my whiteness, and I do not care about Southeast Asian struggles, you know? That's what these fuckers are thinking. Like, it's just I think that is good, and I think it's like getting behind the Sri Lankan people in their struggle, like trying to find a way to support them, that does not rely on, I guess, IMF or, you know, certain NGOs that don't care about what the true aims of the, you know what I mean?
Because that's something as well, is that I was like, when these mass uprisings started, I was like, look, the power of the IMF is not absolute. People can escape it. And one of the immediate responses I got on Twitter was from someone saying like, actually, in this case, the IMF, not working with the IMF was one of the things that Gotabaya did wrong. And actually, if he'd taken more IMF loans, it would have been a good. And I'm like, my guys, like the communists who just raided the palace are like sitting at the negotiating table doing like a mock IMF like discussion to make fun of the IMF, because they can all see that the IMF, if allowed, like if given an inch, will just burn their entire country to the ground for as much profit as possible. Like, so irritating. Anyway, so I think I'm going to skip over reading the last question I was going to read, because I don't want to keep our guest waiting too long. And we
that's okay.
Late. So
I'm also in big ADHD mode, so I feel like I might have missed like some of the other stuff that you were saying. Like 5 different things happened, and I was so distracted by all of them.
It's chill. So let's move on to the next piece of news. And do you wanna tell me about the next piece of news?
I do, Sophie. Thank you very much. So we are now going to talk about. Now, it's funny that we actually mentioned earlier. You mentioned, Sophie, that political parties are not the be-all and end-all. We don't just need one political party that's going to like solve everything and move everything left, because, well, the very conditions that, you know, allow for the existence of a ruling party are kind of the same things that just kind of cause them to be just corrupt, and they will eventually lean conservatively because they will find out that, if we keep money around, then we can be more powerful than other people. So essentially what we're actually talking about today is a reformist hope that we are going to experience in the UK, a new political party.
So you sound very jaded about what we're talking about.
Yeah. I'm pretty jaded, honestly.
I thought you were more into this one. I'm genuinely okay. This is interesting.
No. I'm approaching this from a neutral perspective. This is neutral. I believe that this could be really, really good.
All right.
But I also am very realistic about how these things kind of work, and they've got if they're going to do it right, they need to do it really right.
All right,
so
what are we talking about?
We're talking about the Enough is Enough campaign, and this campaign is basically spearheaded by Mick Lynch and Zara Sultana and a bunch of other left-wing political figures and trade union members in the UK.
Yeah.
And it's really, really awesome. What they're trying to do is kick off a series of 50 rallies across Britain.
Yeah.
With a launch event on August 17th. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be attended by trade union leaders. They're involved in strikes. They're involved in disputes about wages and stuff like that. Community groups, tenants organizations, a lot of other politicians came together this week, and it's received 300,000 signups, more than 6 million launch video views. I guess I'm gonna have to watch this on my stream now that I've heard of that, because I might as well. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the way that I see it is, Alan Moore, one of the crustiest anarchists of all time, alongside being a cool guy that wrote some cool comics.
Famous comic book warlock Alan Moore. Yes.
Yeah. Famously, never voted. V for Vendetta.
Appearing on The Simpsons one time. And that's it. That's all he actually did,
Yeah. And he never, one of the biggest things about him is that he never voted. Because he's a proper anarchist. He doesn't believe in electoral politics. Just a really base guy. And when Jeremy Corbyn's party was in the UK doing progressive politics and talking about taxing the rich, Alan Moore came out and said, yo, listen, I never vote, but you definitely should vote for Jeremy Corbyn. And that's kind of my sort of point of view with the Enough is Enough campaign, because if it does turn into a political party, the stuff that they're talking about is real pay rises, cutting energy bills, ending food poverty, decent homes for all, and taxing the rich. And that is very low bar shit.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. Yeah.
It should be. At the moment, it's radical, and it should be low bar shit.
Yeah.
So, of course, I will support them, and of course, I will vote for them if they are, you know what I mean, a political party.
I do. Yeah, I think that everything you said before, however, is still valid and worth engaging with. I think that it's interesting. It's a prediction we're running on, basically, M, who was on the show ages ago now. We've been doing this show for so long, huh?
So long.
M, who came onto the show to talk to us about cult research, cult and conspiracy research, and TERFs and anti-TERF action, said the other day, this looks like it's a sort of soft launch for a political party. And, if it is, they're going to have value neutral for a second, we can say that if it is, this is going to have so much popular support, because they're, like you just said, they got 300,000 signups in a week. It's going to be absolutely massive. But it's entirely possible. I think they might just stay outside of electoral politics and just stick to the strength of unions. It's possible that all they'll be angling for is a general strike. And I don't know about you, I love a good general strike.
I love a good general strike, Sophie. That's correct.
I think it's possible. It's possible that what they'll do is wind up. It's possible that M is wrong, basically, and what they'll wind up doing is using the Malcolm X's thing, right? Power only respects power. It's possible that they'll just use the power of workers, the power of the unions, to just tell the Tories what to do.
That could also be based. That would be the start of dual power in the UK,
for real. But it could also be someone in JMM 1610 has just said Enough is Enough is supported by TUC, which is one of the largest trade union groups in the UK. And it's possible. It's also possible M is right, and that it will just be another party. And I think that like you said, that would be it would be a very exciting party if it was a party. But then there's also everything you said before. About parties. It's interesting. We'll see where it goes. We don't want to get too ahead of us, I guess, with the idea that it's gonna be a party, because I think I trust M a lot. He's a very apt and savvy political analyst. But also, who knows? It might just stick to being a campaign. It could just stick to being a campaign, and it could stick to being the kind of campaign that doesn't get anything done, or it could it could use union power to really get some amazing shit done. So who knows? We'll see. One to keep an eye on in the coming weeks. I think that it might be worth, as much as this is our bruv episode, it might be worth us doing a special dispatch on the rising class consciousness in the UK, because I think that this is evidence, as much as anything else, that there really is a huge return to class consciousness.
Absolutely.
We've not seen since Thatcher crushed the unions, right? All right.
And
yeah,
as I said in a long time ago in a Red Planet episode, but you were really impressed with it, so of course I'm going to remember it. Is when I said it'll be interesting to see how the Tory party tries to crush unions with the advent of things like social media and the internet.
Yeah, super true. That will be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that especially with the Tory leadership, race, competition, debates going on right now, it's all a fucking farce. Whatever. It's which face will the immortal ghoul of the Tory party wear for the next couple months? And will that face turn red or blue after a general election? Ooh, what an interesting and worthwhile thing to engage with. Anyway, it's interesting to see this going on at the same time, because I think that, they are in the middle of picking, to reiterate what I just said, like they are the same product, but they are in the middle of picking what their marketing strategy is going to be. And this is what they have to run against. Yeah.
I have a theory that because I was always so certain that Boris Johnson wouldn't step down, like, of anything.
Right.
Like, he's done multiple things,
right,
and he's not stood down.
Right.
And after thinking about it a bit more now, in seeing what's been going on with the Labour movement, well, it seems like he probably had more knowledge than other people did about the Labour movement, because MI5 are definitely spying on movements like this, and they will be feeding him information and going like, yeah, listen, just so you know, Mr. Prime Minister, they're planning on doing some huge direct action this summer, so you're gonna be a little bit fucked unless you become Hitler and like destroy them all. And he's like, oh, well, just leave it to Rishi and Liz then. You know what I mean? Like, that's literally what he's done, because this is going to be the kind of like, I feel like this is either going to be the make or the break of the Tories in the next 10 years kind of thing.
So this is the moment at which Boris is probably sipping a mimosa, little tiny umbrella and straw, out of a freshly halved coconut on a beach somewhere right now, and he's just laughing because the other dickheads have to actually deal with the real problem now. I think that could be very true. I genuinely, you know what, I really try to you sent me a message the other day, and I remember my first response to it was, Mule, let's remember how conspiratorial thinking works.
Oh yeah.
But just now you've laid out a conspiracy theory to me, and I buy it. I'm just like, yeah, MI5 told him that Mick Lynch was coming to fuck him up. MI5 gave him a special report that was like, look, if you stay in office, you're going to get Compstead and Dumpstead. And he was like, right, on my fucking bike then.
Yeah. You know, like, here's the thing. The difference between my conspiracy theories and conspiracy theories on the left is that, like, I'm not going to die on that hill. If someone wants to tell me that what I said is like completely impossible, listen, I believe in ghosts. You know, like, do you really think I'm gonna die on the hill of like MI5 told Boris Johnson he was fucked, so he decided to go home?
It is.
So, you know,
it's possible a ghost
made
him go. It's possible that he was visited by 3 ghosts and he changed him.
The ghosts of Brexit, past, future, and present.
The ghost of Normal Island yet to come. All right, let's
move on. We've spent so much time.
We fucked around so much
on this nonsense. Oh God! Right. Okay. I'll do this. You'll do this. I don't know.
Go on. Tell me about some good and cool news. Everyone's really having such a fun time.
This is the big shit. This is from Yankee Doodle dickhead land. An attempted attack on an FBI office raises concerns about violent far-right rhetoric.
Yes.
So, as you all probably know, the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago or Mar-a-Lago. Don't know how you say it.
Me
Don't
neither.
care.
Stupid American words. No one cares.
Stupid Americans.
Get
they
out
just
of here.
invent new syllables where you don't need them, like in ham. Like they say ham. You know what I mean? Like, anyway, the Mar-a-Lago on Monday was raided, for whatever reason. Who fucking knows? Donald Trump probably done a lot of crimes. So the FBI are after him. And QAnon supporters have kind of responded with, like, some of the most unhinged horrific shit that we've seen in a while,
Yeah.
really. Because despite the kind of lack of social media presence or lack of presence at all of Donald Trump in the last few years since he lost the election, he still has a really strong support base who are just very radical, zealous, cult-like people. That is all that QAnon is. And apparently there's been an attempted attack on an FBI office. And the thing is that they found a suspect called Schiffer. The FBI said an armed man attempted to breach the building but fled after an alarm went off and special agents responded. After a car chase and a 6-hour standoff, police shot and killed that suspect.
I believe he was shooting at them from a cornfield. I think they... Yeah, I think they either they stopped him on the way to or chased him off from the office. And then he derailed into a cornfield. And they just had a shootout for like 6 hours.
Right.
Yeah, and then I think I think what's worth discussing is the wider response to this, which could be described as America entering the cool zone. A lot of people, whatever, QAnon supporters, a lot of MAGA chuds have responded to this, like responded to the Mar-a-Lago raid, responded to calls from Trump's allies like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and responded to the attack itself by saying it's go time, and then posting like pictures of the I know there was one, like at least one thing, like people constructing a technical. There's been loads of people just like showing off all of their extremely scary militarization and how ready they are for a civil war, basically.
And
how like not just ready but like excited they are for a civil war specifically. I think there's a serious question to be had about whether they have the ability to keep any kind of society going, because what they've been preparing for 5 or 6 years now is a war, and they have been preparing, right? But I mean, I think that the things like the attacks on reproductive rights, the attacks on bodily autonomy, show that they have an authoritarian approach where they'll be able to just like force people to live in their society, force people to have families and behave the way that they want. But it's always worth asking how long anything like that can really last.
Not long, to be honest.
But whatever else they've prepared for or failed to prepare for, they have been preparing for a war, and I think that. Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been really alarmed by, is seeing them flex their muscles in the light of this. Yeah.
What we can be certain of is that they will not be as prepared as most people think they are. What they are prepared for is mass violence, and that is it only, right?
Yeah.
Which is of course a terrifying thing, and I'm not downplaying that.
Yeah.
Literally my thoughts go out to every single person in America.
Absolutely.
Like, comrade or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is like so intense, that shit.
Yeah.
But what I think they're not ready for, like you said, it will be, if anything happens, it will be sort of like a mass reenactment of January 6th.
Right.
Where they will like break into the, how do you want to call it, metaphorical Capitol building, and they will wander around for a bit and maybe take some selfies,
skins and horns and stars and stripes makeup,
right?
And be like, we did it, and then it's like, now what?
It will be that. And I think the other thing that people are sort of not really what they're not really aware of is that they are still the minority in America. Like, regardless as to how many of them there are, and yes, there are a lot, but they are the minority in America. Like, generally speaking, the mass population, most of the population of America do not want a civil war. Like, no one fucking wants that shit. Even some conservatives will be like, no, that sounds like a silly idea. We should just try, because the kind of conservatives who are like, we should just legislate people into non-existence rather than actually shoot them. you know.
Right.
But there's lots of people who will just like be not down for that. Like they're just not going to be up for that, and either they will respond in kind, like against these people as vigilantes and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll probably have like a bit of a rude awakening. Like, you know, there's very organized fascist groups in America that people should be afraid of, like the Oath Breakers.
Right.
Is it the Oath Breakers or the Oath Keepers?
Oath
Oath Keepers. Patriot Front.
Yeah.
And, you know, of course you should be absolutely terrified of people like that. Like, you know, be, you know, very sort of like vigilant and on watch for that shit.
Right.
But a lot of these people are just kind of like that couple that you saw with, like, you know, a revolver and an AK outside that mansion during the George Floyd protest.
The two white-haired, the old guy with the AK and his wife standing there with the pistol, just being like, try it.
Like, most of these people have not done combat training. They wouldn't know what interval training was if you hit them over the head with it. Like, as soon as it comes to like changing a clip during a battle, they'll probably fuck it up, and you know what I mean. Like, there's just no way. Like, these people.
But crucially, you know, as we're saying, beyond that, supposing they win every fight they're confronted with, what's their society look like? How long lasting can it really be? I think there's an important thing to always remember about Nazi propaganda, is that Nazi propaganda really focused on this idea that the Nazis were efficient and powerful and clean and mechanical, and actually, like, both the party, the state, the society that the Nazis made, all of it was just a fucking shit show. Because fascists are they're fascist. They're unsustainable. They're so power hungry. Yes.
That it will become, even in an ethno state. This is how I always word it when I try and like explain the ultimate doom of fascism.
Yeah.
Is that, like, even in an ethno state, they will still find problems with their comrades.
Right.
Right. They will still find problems with, like, Himmler, because Himmler is, like, not the right kind of Nazi, and then, like, Rome has got, like, a funny shaped nose, and, like, maybe somewhere down the line he's related to a Romani person. Do you know what I mean? And, like, you know, all this kind of stuff will just keep happening until they just kill each other, and it'll just be like Mad Max, but nobody trusts each other. It'd be like a combination of Mad Max and The Thing.
The thing
Do you know what I mean?
The thing I always like to point out is that it's so many dudes.
Right. Yes.
It's so many dudes. And I'm like, my guys, what
are you going to get done?
How many generations of your society do you expect there to be? You say, listen, to any Patriot Prayer members who might be out there who will ever hear these words, you guys say that people like me don't understand biology. But no, whatever. You can carry on believing that you and your boys can get each other pregnant, and I encourage you to try for as long as you want, because honestly, God bless. Go for it. Let's look at the last piece of news. This one a bit more positive. So we are talking about Atlanta forest defense. This is another thing where I'm just going to drop the link to the article into the chat as we go, because this is another one where I really would encourage chat to go and read this, give this a read for yourselves. It's a good and cool time. Basically, like, this is just a little interview that CrimeThink did with some people who are doing forest defense in Atlanta, and yeah, genuinely, it was just really inspiring to read. It's not exactly news, but it was just very educational to learn a little about what is being done to defend greenery, to defend the environment in America, and a really important point, actually, I'll pause while it's on screen here, was that they said the South River Forest is not an old growth forest. If anything, this makes the movement to defend it more inspiring. This land was already brutalized, yet given a few years of peace, it became a wilderland, capable of sustaining spaces of freedom. Any patch of flowers growing out of the cracks in the concrete could become a forest if we defend it. The possibility of freedom awaits all around and within us, even in the most repressive environments. I thought that was just lovely, and there's this great graphic they made here of, like, what they want, what we want. He just basically, this is a movement towards rewilding. This is a movement to, to defend against capitalist developments and to defend against deforestation, and that's really beautiful. Just really beautiful.
Solar punk shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Really beautiful to see people fighting for. Yeah, again, it's not an old growth forest. It's not one of these like absolutely ancient, the redwoods or whatever. It's just a forest that has been allowed to be wild, and they want to keep it wild and keep it beautiful.
Yeah,
and that's just
like
really, really cool.
This is there's a funny thing that you'll see with like a lot of eco-anarchists and well, maybe just not eco-anarchists, but like maybe any kind of person who kind of like skews towards the environment in their ideology, where like certain forests don't matter because they were made in I sort of like the view to that they were going to be like a carbon capture thing, or they're like a product of capitalism. They're all like lined up too neatly, and so they don't really count. Well, that's kind of silly, because it's like, well, these new forests, even if they are like made by people, they still need to be protected because they're still trees.
Yeah,
like they're still, like, okay, the wild ones, obviously, but also even these kind of like fake ones, these manufactured ones, but they are like still living creatures. They are still plants that help us live and breathe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if they stop being so I guess maintained and manufactured, then they could end up going wild and supporting that's just how the world works.
But in this specific case of the Atlanta forest, and this is something that I was going to talk about, but some a possum shaman in chat has also brought it up. Did they say anything about Cop City? So actually the plan for development for Atlanta forest in particular is that they were gonna cut a bunch of stuff down and build what's the word? It's like, so it's a kind of training facility where basically they mock up like a little neighborhood for cops to be able to go around and practice in like a full 3D environment where they can just like practice being like fascist fucking pigs. Like it's essentially a very, very, very expensive like VR experience for training Atlanta cops. And Atlanta cops have not a great history being, a predominantly black city, or a very high black population there. It's a place where they've suffered a massive amount of repression and police violence, and so now they're, the idea of them tearing down this beautiful forest that everyone gets to enjoy, just so that they can train the cops to just kill everyone better, to brutalize everyone better.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I'll just be real. I'm not a fan. So that's it's good to see people defending it.
It is, and I would like to really, really quick, just add on a second piece of very, very good news.
Please.
There was an immigration raid on Friday in Manchester, and it basically incredible, to be honest. We sort of like, well, I say we, basically I'm involved in a bit of anti-raid action in terms of like telling people about immigration raids that are happening at the moment. It's like, basically we tell people to go down and observe the law and do everything that you can within the law in order to help people who are being potentially deported, potentially taken away by immigration forces. So basically it was just a kind of I was too sick. I had heat stroke on Friday because of the fucking weather, and I couldn't go down personally, so I basically just like retweeted and I tweeted the address of the place where it was happening, and a bunch of people went down and just, as I say, acted within the law and prevented the immigration van from leaving with anyone in it, and that is just a great example of kind of like how it's not that it's easy, it's that it's doable, right? It's that it's doable when it comes down to what kind of direct action can you do, what kind of action can you get involved in, and if you know someone who is involved in your local anti-raid organization, just sort of like asking if you can be part of like the WhatsApp group, or be part of like the social media group or something like that. That's something that's like very doable, even for like people who maybe find it hard to go outside. Maybe you've got agoraphobia. Maybe you want to be an activist. Maybe you live in a rural sort of place or whatever. Like, you could do stuff like that from afar.
Absolutely.
And yeah, that's another thing. JMM says all the tweets from others organizing. Like, it was a great show of solidarity. There was a lot of different organizations who got behind it and shared it on social media as well, which shows that, like, lots of people are understanding that intersectionality is key, and cross movement solidarity is what's gonna save us. It's what's going to protect us from the cops and from the immigration services.
Yeah, you were saying about that. You were saying about that with your involvement in the tenants union recently.
Yeah.
About a dedication to making sure that the movement is intersectional, and that's just really, really cool to see. Yeah, that's what
it was. It was so based because I was very, very ready.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of chatters might not understand is that, like, while we are very, like, anti-lib.
Yeah.
Lots of, like, activism groups will take any help that they can get,
and most
you
people are liberals.
Yes, exactly, and you will find that, like, yes, there might be a couple of liberal people in your midst and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, yeah, there are definitely, like, liberal people in the renters union and stuff, and that's fine. But, like, for me to be there on the committee and meet someone who's literally said that her mission statement for how she was gonna, like, give resources to the renters union was to make sure that it was intersectional. And she had, like, this huge list of, like, things that she'd studied at university, like something that I've never even heard of, black womanism, and, like, trans inclusivity, queer inclusivity, black inclusivity, like, all these different, like, really awesome intersectional ideas for the union itself. It was like, fuck yeah, this is what we want, and this is what you need in an organization.
Absolutely, fuck yeah.
So anyway, with all that,
I think it might be time for us to bring in a guest. I think it might be well past time, actually, because we've left it quite late. It's the disaster.
Well, we were a bit late, and I think that Alex is fine with the lateness, so that's not a problem.
All right, this is why it's good to have anarchist guests.
Yes. No bedtimes, so no one gets mad if you're late.
Abolish having a schedule for the stream.
Oh, hell yeah.
With Red Planet next week, whenever. Just watch out.
Who knows?
Just tune in when you can.
Tune in, get the notifications on.
All right, I'm just going to drag Alex right in, and we can just begin. I'm going to have to be doing setup on the fly, so you'll hear Alex before you see anything of Alex. And yeah. Basically, Alex, welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Do you want to tell us about... I think that will have realigned things so that, Mule's gone off the screen. 1 second. Alex, are you there?
Wait a sec.
Okay.
No worries.
All good. I need to fix something anyway. It's fine. Let's just change the transform. Ooh, crikey.
Well, there I am.
Hello. Oh, hang on. He's gone back into the waiting room.
Oh no, that's
Shall
not
I pull
it.
him back in?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Alex.
All right.
Hi.
Yeah, no worries. You don't have to. Oh, for God's sake, why is he doing that?
Oh dear.
Hey, are you putting yourself in the waiting room or?
Yes, I'm in the waiting room right
No.
now.
You don't need to. You don't need to do that anymore. It's
in the right
fine.
Place now.
Yeah. We've brought you into the right channel.
All right.
Yeah, you could just chill here with us. It's fine.
Yeah. Welcome to the cool zone. We're now in the cool kids club. Now I've talked cross purposes with the cool zone. That's not ideal. Alex, tell us a little bit about the London Makhnovists while I do some stream setup stuff, please.
So we kind of named ourselves for a reason, because we tried to occupy Alex Deripaska's mansion.
Uh-huh.
And this is exactly what Nestor Makhno was doing in 1917 when he started the revolution, peasant revolution, a very cool phenomenon. So it's like a lot of peasants stood up to Red Army, a lot of rich people, they started occupied the big mansions and ended up occupying all entire villages.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow.
since our first, so as our action, we were really pissed off, so we wanted to take over this mansion. That's a very similar action what like 100 years ago Machno was doing.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was kind of a point when we kind of started to thinking like, you know what, fuck squatting, let's liberate.
Yeah, hell
Okay,
yeah.
that's good. So,
That
can you
rocks.
tell us what kind of what you mean by by the difference between just squatting and liberating?
So just squatting is you complying with the law. So and at the beginning it would be exactly the same like liberating. So you come and occupy the property by the law and stuff like that. But when you receive a court order, you move out as a squatter. We do refuse to move out.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, I mean, my secret dream is to make squatting a little bit militant sometimes. So we do refuse to walk away and go away. We do trying our best to stay there. So we do resist as much as we can.
Yeah.
And I think I might be wrong in this. You might know more than me about this. But even if you do refuse to stay despite the court order, even if you do refuse to leave despite the court order, I think you have like some rights and you're on the side of the law anyway. In terms of squatting, is that right, or is that like?
And yes and no. So you get two types of notices. One is PO, which is possession order.
Yeah.
And the second one is IPO, which is interim possession order. So the second one is more serious. You have to deal with High Court, and it's illegal to resist the High Court bailiffs.
Right.
A lot of people do, and they do not arrest anyone after all the resistance.
Yeah.
But they can.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Because I imagine they'll bring cops, and the cops will probably be under the impression that like they can arrest people for that. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that, because it's like it just kind of like it matches up with like some of the stuff I'm doing with the renters union. So the kind of like the two warnings that you have to get for eviction is very similar to just like a private landlord renting and stuff. So yeah, that's very interesting.
Oh, cool! You're on camera. That's good. I now need to swap the two of you around. That's fine. It's good. It's all good.
Brilliant. Yeah,
Great to see you there. Very good fit. We love an anarchist with grip. All right. Cool.
So you sent us a bunch of stuff for our notes, which is some actions that you've done throughout this year. And do you want to start by telling us the first of those? So the first of those that I've got here, it's a Daily Mail article, and the title is Bailiffs Use Cherry Picker to Remove Squatters from Former Police Station Roof in Clapham. And do you want to tell us what was going on there? What's like the actual news?
To be honest, that was like that was my first activism action ever.
Wow.
At the time I was a construction worker, and I've been going to work reading the news. And like, I mean, I've been housing people and helping out to other squatters to crack the places, and I kind of was doing this like kind of independently, but it was nothing like towards the activism, it's just helping out. And I've been reading this article about so that was the time when Sarah Ellers was killed by this police officer.
Yeah.
Raped and killed. And I was already pissed off about this situation, fucking cops, and the next day I'm going to work and I'm reading the article how they treated women in a vigil of Sarah Ellers, and I'm kind of, fuck this shit, really? And I knew this police station, which I've been actually aiming to rave. And someone was like, oh wow, it's just 200 yards away from there. And I was about to squat it, and I looked for people who would help me out. And a lot of people refused, and I'm like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm doing this alone. What worse can happen? Half an hour before I cracked that place, so I've been going on the way with all my tools to kind of like take the place. And some guy called me, which was House of Shango at the time, Black Squatters Community.
Yeah.
and they wanted to join me to squad this police station against the bill, because as we all know, it's like a big racial issue there. And so, and like somehow accidentally we started this action. I could never believe that it would be like, they broke my phone while calling me, so there were so many calls and messages coming at the same time. And I had this old
Wow.
phone, and they broke my phone, and I'm like, oh wow, thank God that I haven't done it alone, because I wouldn't know what to do with that.
That
So,
fucking
and
rocks.
so, and it was very funny because we had this policy: mask up, dress black.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so they would take us seriously.
Yeah.
And so as feminism is a big issue, so big topic in this kind of case, the woman were killed by someone which should protect her. It's a police officer, and then so we started to do women self-defense courses
Cool.
in the yard, and we got so much surveillance. So pictures been taken, and we had those pictures later in our court papers. They actually called it militant training.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
first
mean,
we had this van, Amazon
yeah.
van. We were changing places 3 times a day, and we kind of hang the banner with a joke about Amazon van
Jesus.
and under covers. So they stopped trying. They kind of like parked a van there with a sticker, Metropolitan CCTV unit.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
hilarious.
fucking rocks.
Actually, we haven't done
That
anything
that
bad.
thing about
but-
militant training, like in a direct response to a horrific case. For those who aren't aware of the case of Sarah Everard, literally taken from her house by an off-duty police officer, Wayne Couzens, who used his powers as a police officer to kidnap her. Like said that she was under arrest, and then just like took her away, and horribly assaulted her and then murdered her. And it's like. That's a thing that has a lot of women in the UK ready to learn how to defend themselves. And the idea that they would
Right.
respond by calling that militant training is, God, I mean, you want to laugh, but it's also just like, fuck off. That's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always the same story. Like there are some revolutionary groups. Let's say Zapatista
Yeah.
from Mexico.
Yeah.
So when they be telling their story, like 10 years of their revolution, how they've been planning. So there was loads of action, and government would never take them seriously until they would start cover their faces and dress like they're militant, all
Right.
Yeah.
black and so on.
Yeah.
So that's a very big impact on them. They're like, oh, what the hell? A lot of anti-police people dressed only black. We don't know who they are.
Yeah. And that's really cool that you mention the Zapatistas and like other anarchist groups, because like for example in Rojava, that is like a woman-led, or at the very least woman-centered anarchist autonomous zone,
Very cool.
and that shit is like so important to remember that. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Like if there is no, like this is the only way that things can go. It's the only way that things can go. If no action is taken by the government or by the police to make people more safe, then
Right.
people are naturally going to take more drastic versions of action in order to get what we need, really. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a human need to feel safe and be safe in your
Yeah,
where you
and
live.
I think that the nature of it, like if you are defending, if what someone needs is to be safe, and then what women in the UK can see is that they're not safe from the police, then it's not their fault that they are training, as you were saying, like training against the police, or training with the hypothetical of having to defend themselves against a police officer. It's the police's fault. Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I've been meaning to. I've been wondering for a while what would happen if at an action, someone were there live streaming and asked cops, so what do you think about the case of one of your colleagues? Someone asks some Met officers, what do you think about one of your colleagues kidnapping and assaulting and murdering a woman using police powers? Does that make you feel proud to be a police officer? Does that make you feel like you're doing your job and protecting people? What is that?
Yeah. And as we all know, even if these
I'm
cops...
sorry for interrupting. But have you read those? It's not that old articles, like a week ago. So they kind of published WhatsApp group chats in between the police officers, and one of them was that guy. That's horrible. Can you imagine the way they talk? Like it's racist, sexist, everything what is worse. It's like, and it's the police.
Absolutely
It's
inhuman. Yeah, just disgusting. Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what you were that's what you were drawing attention to when you cracked this building, and then they is it literally you they had to pick off with the cherry picker, or was it one of your comrades?
No, so I was one of them. You can see. So there is on one picture that you can see 3 people on the sleeve of the cherry picker. Yeah, so it was very funny because there's loads of bailiffs. The whole eviction took like six hours, something like that.
Right.
It was loads of bailiffs, but there was like only few police officers because it's an anti-police protest, so they don't want to trigger us. And it was very funny about that. So
they're worried that you might be bringing your Antifa super soldiers and they won't be able to handle you.
Yeah, and they don't know what it can be, it's like radicals, anarchists,
Yeah.
So they've been trying to. So the last resistance point was the roof, of course, where the people. So if you don't want to get arrested during resistance, stay in the first floor. They will come in, and you will like, okay, I'm done. You're here. Okay. Right. So the most dangerous point and the last point is the roof, where we've been, and there's this little hatch. And police been trying to break in there. They even burned the plastic hatch there,
wow.
but metal things there. We've been kind of like very disgusting with them. Some people have been pissing through the hatch and the main building. It's kind of disgusting. But anyway, so they've been trying to get up to this hatch in the same time as. So it was basically also like a distraction because from the same time from the other side, another bailiffs they've been putting the big ladders.
Right.
And while we've been looking at the ladders as well, and we're kind of like fighting with them, not letting them to put the ladders, the cherry picker comes from behind. And at the same time, we stole the ladders from them, and we've been kind of 20 minutes fighting with the cherry picker. We kind of, with ladders, we wouldn't let the cherry picker to land.
That's pretty smart. So
the cherry picker has the operator, which has nothing to do with the resistance to the operator, and it has 4 bailiffs, the big guys there, and there's a different source of bailiffs. So those 4 bailiffs there, they're allowed to arrest you. They're allowed to.
Oh wow!
So as soon as finally we lost the fight with those ladders, it was very funny. So the cherry picker goes down. 4 bailiffs jumps off, and maybe 5-6 quarters jumps into the cage. We're like, this is our cherry picker.
You just occupied the cherry picker. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
very good.
We got to the sleeve. So the reason to cut in the sleeve, you've seen from the pictures, it's a big building, right?
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to touch you when you are up very high, because if they will touch you, you might get scared, you might fall.
Right.
So at the end, so we've been the last people left there on the cherry picker on the sleeve, and they're kind of like, the main bailiff. He's like, please come down. It's been 6 hours.
Oh, what are they Gregs?
No, fuck you. First, go to the. So there's a couple of cops, and there's a sergeant, and we're like, go to the main cop.
Yeah.
Give the promise, prove us that none of the activists got arrested,
Right.
And he went there, and we, from the roof, from the cherry picker, we do see him, he had to climb the stairs, go there, chat, Okay, the guy comes back and is like, look, so there is all your mates, none of them is arrested, and they're like, oh, cool. Will you go down now? We're like, no. Now go to the main cop and get an official promise that none of the activists will be arrested after we go down. And the guy's like, fuck. And the guy goes down, he get the promise. And we're like, we'll go down. You're also not allowed to touch us, We went down, and one bailiff started pushing me. And that main bailiff was like, no, don't touch them. I'm like, no, with us, we are creative, you know. Like,
See, that's the thing. That's really
people went out. Yeah.
that's really awesome that you kind of leveraged the fact that bailiffs have such bad morale to kind of like help you there, because bailiffs fucking hate their fucking job. Even
Right.
like police don't hate their job because they could get away with like a lot of shit, and it's like a very powerful position, and they have like qualified immunity from a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But with bailiffs, like they very rarely get like a job like this. They're not really prepared for it. And as soon as it's like any kind of resistance, like you said, they're literally like, it's been 6 fucking hours. Do you know what I mean? They just want to go home.
They just want to go
literally,
to Greg's.
They
Yeah.
want to get a Greg's. They want to
Yeah.
go to the pub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, and that's it really. So yeah, that's very interesting.
They're
that,
only
like
human.
they kind of,
They just want to
yeah,
get. They just want to get pub, chicken cottage on the way home. Maybe buy a scratch card. It's just like normal human needs.
Well, you see, it's not always. There is a different companies of bailiffs. Let's
Yeah.
say there is a national eviction team
Oh yeah.
or a lockfather, let's say.
oh right, so they're like what, like actually hired by the state.
So national eviction team is like what you would hire to evict activists.
Sorry, Samuel.
Ah.
It's those bailiffs which would wave a chain in front of your face, yeah, they might be violent. So there is different type of bailiffs.
Yeah.
Ah, look at this. They got a whole website. This is so funny. It's yeah, I'm gonna just drop this in the
All right.
in the chat.
Yeah, let's have a quick look. Yeah, let's have a quick look at this.
Right
Um,
there.
yeah,
They're
do you
very
wanna-
proud. They're very proud that the national eviction team has successfully and safely undertaken more evictions of demonstrators,
Oh my God.
protesters, and travelers
Oh my.
than,
Oh my God.
than anyone
Yeah,
else
have you
in
heard
the
about
country.
HSQ
Jesus
protest?
Christ! Literally just a fascist militia. Fucking
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah, that's
Fucking
exactly
hell.
what they are. That's
Fucking
exactly what they
hell.
are.
Demonstrators,
Yeah.
protesters, and travelers. Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do have ex-military, quite a lot of them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
of
what do
course.
you do when you're ex-military? You can also be in very shady security companies, ex-military security companies,
Yeah.
which carries on illegal evictions, pretty violent.
This
Yeah.
is I just like the number of full forearm sleeve Rorschach tattoos that must be present.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Alex, you talked. This was your first action you were talking about. And I guess at some point between there and now you became the London Makhnovists. But you want to carry on telling us about the progression of your actions.
So we got loads of support from the communities.
Yeah.
So we kind of like, I realized London is a beautiful place to prove a point.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and voting is a powerful tool which we can use for good. We can also weaponize.
Yeah.
And we should use it, you know. And so my specialty is occupational protest, and I don't break any law. I know the ways how to get into places without any criminal damage. I mean, I do it. That's my point. I'm trying never to break the law.
Okay.
It's like,
Well, that's good because the law is the arbiter of morality, and breaking the law is wrong and bad.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
it's more like a very cool joke, you know. I don't mind breaking the law, and of course I do.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like activism thing. So it's more like a joke. I'll play by your rules, but against you.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I like that. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it works, and then later you get arrested. I haven't shared an article how much they spent after evicting us from the mansion.
That
So
seems similar. I want to draw a similarity between that and what are called. I think it's work to order strikes, where unions organize. Oh, that's a loud one. Where unions organize actions where they'll work to exactly what they've been required to, but like the least possible requirement of what they've been required to do, right? So it's just like everything's slowed down, and they're like only the minimum possible requirement of work, right? Similar to what you're saying with just like doing what you can without actually breaking the law is like kind of ironic, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, as a squatter, you have to also understand what power do you have. So, to have a property in London is basically, so if you're a very shady rich man, let's say, so it's very safe to buy a property through offshore company, which is not on your name. So, because if you're a shady rich person, you might get busted. Your
Yeah.
bank account get frozen, everything gets frozen. But the property, which is on some offshore company, and that offshore company is on another offshore company, is the perfect way to save your money. It's like a bank. So,
Right.
and we can target it. We can target rich people's properties, even the residential squatting. It's not legal. It is still legal if you have no intention to live there or you occupy it as a protest.
Yes.
Ah.
We talked about this a little on our first episode about squatting. I recommend again to everyone to check out the Squatter's Handbook. I don't know if there is a more recent edition. I currently have the 14th edition. It is updated and re-updated by its publishers in compliance with UK law. So it's a very good resource for the exact kind of stuff that Alex is talking about. Even on a very practical level, it teaches you how to rewire an electricity meter so that you can get electricity. It teaches you how to make a barricade. It teaches you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that fucks. And so going back to the direct action that the London Makhnovists have done,
Yeah.
you kind of, you I guess, like, compounded your first action of squatting the former police station, by then squatting another former police station, or like an actual police station, as this one says in the local paper, Southwark News.
My local paper, as it happens.
Camberwell police station taken over by Kill the Bill squatters.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. Was that like a similar deal, or?
So that was a bit different. Also a bit funny because as it's Kill the Bill protest, so that police station is not only the front building which you see in the picture. Behind it is a massive yard, and there is a big block house with loads of rooms. So the whole idea was to squat it all and fill the yard with traveler caravans, protesters.
Very cool.
Yes, but we've been a bit too slow to squat both buildings, so we took only the front one, and the owner kind of got the security guards with dogs in the yard.
Damn it.
To patrol the yard, and it was very hot at the time, and they turned off the water. And the owner turns out on the end that we did our research bad. It wasn't police anymore. It was Ahmadiyya television owner, and a very, very important member of Muslim community, which turned off water and heat for us.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. But we had a squat 10 minutes away from there, so we had the shopping carts with 5-liter plastic bottles. We kept on refilling the water. We still kept it clean. We still kept it nice somehow. It was hard though, but
sweet.
Yeah.
And I think it still kind of like proves a bit of a point, you know, whether the police own it or not. It is a former police station, and as long as there's no one else in there like trying to live there or whatever, like, you are going in there and using it as like an advertisement, a promotion of you know, a really important movement, a really important direct action movement against you know, the police crimes and sentencing bill. So I think even regardless of like making a mistake and not knowing who, you know, owned the building, like that, you've still achieved, like, I think, like a really good thing there, as you can see on the screen. Yeah,
it's a symbol. We had a lot of community support again, and some people have been coming in there. So we had this. So the second police station was a bit different. So we kind of like, you know what? Let's get community involved. So to get community involved, we have to look less militant.
Yeah.
Stop hiding our faces. Let's do open door policy. You know, it has to be like political education point.
Yeah.
And we kind of did it. We had even like people who grew up and lived there all their life. They're coming in there. Oh, mate, I've been nicked here. You know?
Amazing.
So it says in the article here there was a sign taped to the door on behalf of a group called the Serious Annoyance. So was that
Yes.
that was when you kind of decided to be a group, be an organization?
I mean, different actions has different names sometimes.
Uh-huh.
It has to be a valid name for the action.
Right.
And at the time when they kind of presented the bill, they said like officially like, "Oh, serious annoyance will
Right.
be," and we're like, "The fuck, serious annoyance, man? We will
Okay.
be serious annoyance."
Yeah.
So we called ourselves serious annoyance as a joke, more or less, and
Yeah.
we are.
I also have something I think that's very funny. The one comment on this article from Joe Cowley reads, "These trespassers are anarchists trying to disguise themselves as protesters. Just board the place up so they can't get out." Yeah, I mean, he's right. He's you are anarchists.
Anarchist, like
You
that's
got
a
us,
great
boys.
sentence. That's a great
Yes,
sentence.
you know?
Anarchists trying to disguise themselves as protesters. Anarchists famously never protest anything. Yeah. Wow. Fucking funny.
This is your brain on Britain. This is your brain on Brexit Britain. Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So, do you have anything else to say about this action, Alex?
Anyway, it was fun. It was very fun. It was a great experience.
Uh-huh.
So we had no arrest, but every brutal eviction they do, it radicalizes a lot.
Mm.
And on the end there is no consequences because we are not breaking the law. We are protesting. We said clearly we are not moving out until you don't kill the bill.
Right.
We never meant strip the bill. We meant kill the bill. Our demand is
absolutely.
simple, and so we're going to resist.
Yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, that fucking rocks.
Nice one. So, the next thing I see here is from the Camden New Journal, which says, let me just put it on screen for it so everyone can see while I'm reading it. It says, eviction threat for squatters who set up their own winter homeless shelter. This is something called the Autonomous Winter Shelter, which you...
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us about that. That's really based. Deeply, deeply based.
Yep.
So it's the thing which happens actually every year. Squatters opens a homeless shelter and runs as a project, and it happened to me for the very first time.
Uh-huh.
So, but we didn't have a lot of support this year because it was also very chaotic. So we took over the Semunga's homeless shelter, former homeless shelter in Grayson Road.
Right.
So it's central and it's a big place with over 20 rooms and so on.
So it was a homeless shelter that was shut down already.
Yes. So we kind of we started to make connections with another charities. So actually one of the best connections I made is with one Muslim temple, because a lot of charities, they want us to advertise them, because before the Christmas charities, they are nuts. They're trying to advertise them as hell themselves to get more fundings, because what they get on the New Year's, they get funding, not like one funding, but people who will pay the money all the year. So Muslim charity, only one which kind of come here, pick up the food, and that's it. No questions asked. They've been happy with what they're doing. So we filled the shelter up with 25 homeless, which was very hard. It was the first time I experienced like this, because I never thought that we would have to deal also with mental illness, which people kind of had from living on the street for a long time. And Yeah, at some point it was like I left there alone to do the thing, and I was completely overtired. I've been doing shifts as well, like
Oh
over
yeah,
50.
I bet, of course.
Yeah.
But later it's my mistake. I could have read some things which are made for social workers, and it would make my life easier.
Yeah.
It now so,
So
but it went well. It went very well. So we kind of kept
yeah,
have 25 people. We kind of brought them culture of squatting and community.
yeah,
So and the whole idea of autonomous winter shelter. So how it works. So on the end, it has to be run by homeless,
yeah.
and homeless people live there, and they're running it by themselves. So bit
Right.
by bit, you kind of have to teach them again how to clean up after themselves or cook dinners together with them.
Uh-huh.
So on the end, they have
How to manage the property for themselves, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it went kind of well, but also like we did a lot of mistakes,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of now writing another project, same project but different
Uh-huh.
for the next winter. So it's going to be 4 homeless shelters with a bit less people. Then we can kind of teach people about communities more and the
Wow,
different
okay.
systems, and we can exchange information. Because to maintain 25 people, a lot of them they do have drug
Mm-hmm.
addictions. A lot of them might be violent or have psychosis sometimes, and so
Mm-hmm.
on. And when you have 25 of them in one place, it's very hard. But when you kind of divide it like 9, 8, and you kind of like
Yeah, no, I get that. That makes a lot of sense, and it seems it would make those problems more manageable. Especially, if these are homeless shelters that have been shut down and they're just not being used at all. I've just seen actually that there's sorry, if they're not being used at all, then it's better that they're housing someone that some number of people are getting help and getting a shelter than just no one at all.
Yeah.
I've just seen you were interviewed in this article, Alex. It says another founder, Alex, unless there's different Alex. Another founder, Alex, who was homeless from the age of 16 to 19, said the pure reason we're doing this is to help people. We know how many people die on the streets. We're a group without money, and we managed to do this. But those who have all the money don't do anything. We're highlighting all the problems with society. Really, really fantastic quote. And you said also here, we always knew we were going to be evicted, but I thought they would give us more time, maybe until the winter ends, given the nature of what we're doing. To be a housing group evicting a load of homeless people without giving them any options is insane. And that was what kind of this article is about, is that they came to kick you out like during the winter with 25 people there.
so they served eviction papers,
Right.
which is never pleasant, especially with unexperienced squatters. So let's
Yeah.
say a lot of those rough sleepers, they don't squat in case squat papers, bailiffs seem scary, and I do understand first years of squatting, I was scared as well.
Yeah.
Uh, so they kind of served us papers after 3 months we've been there, or 2 months, something like that.
Yeah.
And we kind of like started to try to crack another building, scout another building. So it was a kind of like opportunity to teach them how to do it properly by the law and
Yeah.
not to get in trouble. So we didn't get together. It was pretty fun, but it still wasn't too successful because we had to keep ourselves in city center because of attention anyway.
Yeah. There's
And
a
then we
really-
realized that
go on,
one
sorry.
house kind of they are afraid of bad attention, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, journalist kind of told us, like, you see, they have a lot to lose. They are running on trust of other people. You got nothing to lose.
Right.
So until we keep the fire in media, they will not touch us, basically. So after that first article, it was quiet more
Uh-huh.
than a month, maybe, or something like that. And we knew we have to do something again, so we did a protest after that, which is another article.
Cool. I just wanted to highlight something from the end of this article first. Oh, I've just knocked a bunch of stuff over. None of it was liquids. It's fine. Which was Labour Cabinet Councillor Nadia Shah said. I just wanted to read out this quote because I thought that this is such a politician's answer to the problem and so absolutely pathetic. Especially after the quote that you gave in the article. That the people who have all the resources and all the power just aren't helping people. they approached the people in the local council, and Nadia Shah said, "We work with all our partners all year round to support people sleeping rough to rebuild their lives away from the street and regain independence. But we remain under constant pressure as Camden, an international transport hub and center of a world city, has the second highest number of rough sleepers come into it out of any area in the UK." She added, "The Roots Off the Street (RTS) specialist outreach team conducts street-based shifts across the borough every day, engaging with up to 100 rough sleepers each year and providing them with support and advice. Anyone who is rough sleeping in the borough can contact RTS free on their number or attend RTS." And then saying this stuff, "We need the government to ensure that ending homelessness is a priority, that there is funding for everyone on our streets, and for them to back us to build more council housing." And I just thought that's such a hollow answer to exactly what you're highlighting, because you've literally taken a homeless shelter that was shut down in their borough, and you're housing people there, and then her answer to this is like, "Yeah, we need to do more stuff. We contact this hotline or whatever," and it's like you're doing it. Like, the answer is right there. Reopen the shelters, help people more. Like, you can't say this stuff when you've just literally got an empty shelter right there.
So while being there, we also kind of we seen how big homelessness problem is, especially in this area next to King Cross.
Right.
So on the biggest colds in the winter, when the temperature was below 2 or something like that. So we had all the rooms filled up. So I started to ask rough sleepers to share the rooms. Then our storage rooms, they became rooms. And the living room, a communal area, became a tent city. We had people almost piling up on each other, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, we had to do this. Why do we have to do this, you know?
So this is actually something that's really kind of been made obvious to me now through, like, you know, what I've started doing, and I know I always bring it up on fucking Red Planet, but like, where, you know, the work that we do with the tenants union, it's kind of like what we try and do is prevent homelessness, right? And then of course, like, that has arisen from the material conditions imposed on people by landlords, right? So now what, like, things like what Alex and Alex's comrades are doing is like the response to the material conditions that the people who are supposed to deal with homelessness, so like things that the council are supposed to be doing. Like, one thing that we've looked at recently in the tenants union is Manchester's response to homelessness and what they're doing with homelessness. And it is a lot of the same drivel, it's a lot of the same faff about, like, make sure that they go through the council approved scheme. But what they don't tell you about these council approved schemes is that they are, like, so badly qualified. Like, think about how many people on the streets have problems with drugs, right? They're addicts, they're in recovery or whatever. And one of the main things that you have to be in order to use these programs is, like, not on drugs. Right. So they have all these qualifying factors that means that the homeless people actually don't get help. And they do give them advice, but the advice is shit and might as well be like, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, bro.
Yeah, policies discerning between the deserving and undeserving poor, right?
Exactly that. So, you know, and
people, they are stuck in this housing limbo. So council is promising them housing, and they are already 2 years in this limbo, being sent from shelter to the shelter. And and they're in this limbo for a lot of time, and a lot of them. So I don't know. Our mission is like teaching the autonomy for teaching homeless the autonomy. We're teaching them how to take their own house. We are teaching them how to use how to fix their piping. We're teaching them how to, like, what are the legal cases, what police can do, what cannot do. We give them all of this education, how to be autonomous.
And that rocks, because that's like the stuff that the government obviously don't want to do. because the system of capitalism needs people to be homeless so that a threat exists, right? So that, you know, you have to keep working, you have to keep renting, you have to keep grinding all the fucking time, otherwise you'll be homeless. And look, homeless people get no help, right? And they don't want to teach homeless people how to survive, because then that threat disappears. And that's another reason why they don't want fair housing and housing as a human right to be a big political talking point. It's also the sort of case that, like, more people who are doing stuff like what you're doing are just going to start doing that shit too. And we'll probably even find more homeless people will start just cracking properties too, because there are so many, especially in Manchester, and I imagine it's the same in London. There are so many properties that are being built and no one can afford the rent, so they're getting used as like maybe Airbnb properties, or they are just simply empty for the majority of the year. And we're just going to see more and more homeless people actually crack into those properties and squat them themselves. You know? And so I think like that kind of stuff that you've been doing there in educating homeless people on how to be autonomous and stuff like that is really important, because they need to know the right way in which they can do this stuff. They need to know the law. They need to be told, well, this is the thing. They need to be taught how to survive within the system that won't tell them how to survive. So it's super fucked up, right? But anyway, I just wanted to comment on that, on how that is like. Of course, that is going to happen when the government and the councils in various places simply do not do what they are asked to do regarding the homeless. Like, you know, Andy Burnham in Manchester, he ran on a campaign that he was going to solve the homeless crisis, you know? But here we are, like 3 years later, and he's done fuck all.
One of my favorite things with people like Burnham is how much of a literal saint they're seen as by liberals, and then anyone who actually lives in their constituency is like, this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
People cares about marginalized people.
People are like, oh yeah, Andy Burnham, he should be the next Labour leader, and I'm like, no, you're fucking idiots.
They
like,
just
please.
think that because he looks like when Shrek gets turned hot in Shrek 2. They just think that because he looks like hot Shrek. That's all.
Oh, that's funny as fuck. So let's move on. So the next thing, the next action that you took, and I think this was regarding what happened when you were evicted from the autonomous winter shelter.
Or is this is the protest about the autonomous winter shelter?
Yeah.
So it was after we got served with eviction papers. So we thought like we have to keep on the heat. We have to make them feel uncomfortable, as they make us feel uncomfortable with this eviction threat.
Yeah.
So we did what we do best. We brought out our sound system. We kind of created a little protest in front of their headquarters. We turned on nice psychedelic rock. We had this cool flyers about one housing evicting homeless people, and we've been giving those flyers to people coming into the one housing building, and to the workers as well. So yeah. So we did a protest, and Camden New Journal wrote another article, which kind of like actually saved us like 2 months.
Nice.
Yeah, so we stayed like 2 months more. So we kind of survived the whole worst period of the winter, which was our goal, because people are dying in winter, and 4.4 Celsius is already enough to die. It's not like everyone will die from 4.4, but it's enough to die for a human. Sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you just demonstrably save people's lives.
So so our goal was to do this emergency shelter for the coldest days in the winter, so people would stay alive, you know. But, we had crazy community support, by the way. There was like this lady, I still don't know her name. She came there with Luton van full of mattresses, and she was like so big, like a Santa Claus, the white hair, jumper, like a Christmas jumper,
Wow.
I was there next to the shelter. She was like, "Hi there, hi everyone, I love what you're doing." And she opens the Luton van, and it's full of furniture, so many. Wow.
Oh my god.
Holy shit, that
Yeah.
rocks.
That's so
That's great.
cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that's kind of like a really nice indicator that when people understand the message of, because most people would look at what anarchists are doing, like squatting buildings and and they'd be like, oh, that's just like anarchists. It's like that Daily Mail commenter. It's like, these
Yeah.
are just anarchists. They're stupid. They're wild. They just want no rules, and it's silly,
Right.
and it won't work. But like most people who, like, when they hear the message, like the clear message, like we simply do not want people to die,
Yeah.
then they will be more than willing to help.
Right. Exactly.
And we saw that last week with Huda, who
Yeah.
was telling us about, like, when the communities learned that there were weapons factories in their
Yes.
immediate neighborhood,
Yes.
they were like, fuck that, actually, we're getting involved. And even people who had like massive SUV cars to kind of like block the police and shit like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
more and more examples.
And I
yeah.
know I brought it up last week as well, but like we also saw this when we were talking to the van guy from Anti-Raids. Like even the most gammon-faced, hot dog-necked, ruddy red Daily Mail commenter, like you're saying, who is constantly like, we should just let immigrants like drown in the sea coming across the channel. Even the most violent. Even someone who engages the most kind of violent rhetoric in that way, when it's like their neighbor, right, who they've convinced themselves is one of the good ones because they see them them as a human being, and the Home Office is coming to evict them. You can't escape from that like level of the just raw violence of it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. People absolutely. Yeah. Ultimately, you can't get over just being a human being. I think. I like to have hope that that's true anyway. I think that there's plenty of people being deeply inhumane, but like there's also people at large tend to just tend to carry on to recognize the humanity and how wrong it is for people to deny people their humanity.
Yeah, people are basically good, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a bit too much of an esoteric debate for Red Planet.
Yeah, definitely.
So
have you got anything else to say about this action, this protest, Alex?
Once again, we got the wrong response as we wanted. The message was sent, and again there was this kind of like, oh, it's bad that there's homeless people, someone should do something about it, it's so nice that they're doing this, but we don't want compliments. We are doing this as we want change.
Yes.
This is just a demonstration that how much you can do without the money and how much you could do with all this money. If someone would gave me 1,000 quid when we've been doing a homeless shelter, that would save so much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So message was heard, but it wasn't answered properly, and winter is coming again, and again, Britain is doing bad.
Absolutely. I think. Given. We were talking about this in our news segment just earlier. Like, I think we might do a discussion of the rising class consciousness of Britain. But, like, given the way that things are right now and the Enough is Enough campaign and people, and, Don't Pay UK, and just how generally angry people are at the way things are, like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if your 4 autonomous shelters this year, like, get a huge community response. I wouldn't be surprised at all if people are really, really keen to defend it and stick up for it.
Yeah.
Or at least, again, I hope so. This is getting back to my my soppy optimism. Shall we talk about Russian oligarchs?
Yeah.
That was one of the funnier missions.
Okay, cool. Let's hear about it. So this headline
The
says, actually, riot police smash into oligarch's £50 million home to start evicting squatters. This is one of my favorite images, that because I was actually already familiar with this action. I didn't know it was you, so it's very cool to be joining the dots here. This is one of my favorite images. Was this banner that said "This property has been liberated," hanging over one of these ridiculous mansions that you see in the West End. Just like always, literally Belgrave Square, beautiful. One of these ridiculous mansions that whenever you're around the kind of area, for those who live in London, like you always like see, if you can see in the windows of these places, they're so often just empty. And it's just like you were saying before, like a place for someone to invest their money. Like they're not homes for anyone. I think even this headline is a little bit tricksy. It's saying £50 million home. No one has a £50 million home. Anyone who can afford a £50 million building does not view it as like a home. You know. But yeah, sorry. So that's all a bit of a ramble. Please tell us about this action, because it's really I've heard of this one before, and I'm excited to know that like this is you.
So the war started, and straight away when the war started, they started about this London laundromat stuff, how many Putin's close allies they've been supporting the war while having companies here, and so on and so on and so on, and how Putin so. Anyway, as first of all, as Eastern European, I kind of went very sensitive about the war as well, because it's like a history repeating to ourselves. Like last time we've been also invaded very fast and so on. And kind of the war started, and there was those rich people and other countries, they're taking away their properties, their assets, and Britain is like, we're gonna freeze it, which means war will finish or come down. People stop caring about war. What happened with this frozen property?
Yeah, we'll just hold it for you guys. Don't worry. We're just taking care of it for you. It's frozen. Right, you can't do anything with it, but like you'll have it back.
Exactly. And it's standing just there, and nothing is happening. And so the idea was like, war is horrible. And we cannot stop it, but at least a little compensation for Ukrainian people would be this mansion, So the idea was to occupy it as a protest, and get a bunch of Ukrainians there. Let's say like to create a Ukrainian social center right there.
Okay.
To make benefit events right there. And so on and so on and so on. But it had to be liberated by Ukrainians. So that was the idea. And we've been preparing a couple of weeks because we wanted to fit the legal standards. And we did it. We kind of found legal observer, which would be there when we kind of getting inside of there, and he's writing down everything we do, like in protests.
Yep.
Just to prove police that we didn't break any law, So that was a great idea to do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's fucking smart as fuck.
Now, I have a book called The Autonomous City, A History of Urban Squatting by Alexander Vasudevan on my shelf here. Another squatting Alex, I guess. Who opens the book by talking about the Volkshuset in Copenhagen, and the opening kind of image of the book is that people have been squatting this building to just run it as a community center for a long time and just provide aid to the local community and just a place for people to go. And they sent in the counter-terrorist unit with like a helicopter coming in from the roof, and like using quick cement to seal off the doors, and like tear gas and all of this stuff, just for some people who are just running a community center. And it was a striking image that stayed with me for a long time since reading that book. And one of the images that really resonated with that image for me was when the first time I saw this video. So this is the riot police arriving at the squat, just a small army of blue goons, Yeah, the thin blue line keeping us all so safe by breaking in to kick out some anarchists in Belgrave Square. Don't we all feel so safe seeing this?
Yeah.
So what was it like getting evicted by riot police, like getting like such a militant force kicking you out?
It wasn't the first time. It wasn't the first time.
Okay.
It happened before, and I mean, at the time you kind of like you have this adrenaline rush, and you're kind of enjoying it, and kind of as we knew the rules that if we are there on the balcony, they're not allowed to touch us. So when we've been planning all these things, we did thought about this thing that they will come very fast and we will not be able to do anything.
Right.
What do we do? We still have to prove a point, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so we tried to prove a point. So it was kind of, first of all, it was funny, a lot of attention. We didn't expect it so much and so fast. And later it was very hard because we haven't slept all night. We ran out of water, food,
Right.
and so we get off the balcony, we get arrested, and that's it, and that's done. And our idea, like usually, is the longer you resist, the more money you cost.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
At least do that, at least waste their money, you know?
Yeah.
When they're here, they cannot be somewhere there arresting a black kid, you know?
Yeah, I absolutely.
Great point.
I think that if it weren't for the fact that it's an offense and therefore morally wrong, because I think that the law always defines what's moral. I would say that wasting police time is extremely fucking based. But I'm not saying that, to be clear, because that wouldn't be moral. Anyway, this is that is, I think, a really important takeaway when you look at stuff like this is if they're sending this many of their goons to kick in this Russian oligarch's door, like you say, they're not arresting black kids. Like every one of those guys right now in this video is there not terrorizing some marginalized community, and that is a silver lining at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to sort of like organizing this, like how difficult were the logistics? Because I'm hearing a lot that you are like running out of water and stuff like that. So and this is something that we spoke about with a previous guest, who reminded us quite rightly that reproductive labor, i.e.
care
food,
labor,
water, care, medicine, shit like that, is extremely important. And like obviously this is something that you've run into an issue with, where it's like, shit, they've turned off the water and like maybe they aren't able to bring you enough water and stuff like that. Like, how difficult is it to organize something like this?
Well, so you kind of hit that point that it's kind of hard, and you think like, is it worth it, At the time, we just been lucky that we had very supportive squad in the area, so sometimes it's a fixable issue, but sometimes it's, I know. I guess you hold on until you can. I don't know. It's hard to answer this question.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's fine. It's just something I was, interested in, because it's like, it would be ideal if, we could get people who could give you water and stuff. Do you know what I mean? And like keep that stuff going for as long as possible. And if the community does support you enough, when shit like that happens, maybe having someone to like talk to. And I think basically what I'm trying to say is that, I don't think it's against the law to give people water. And so if anyone in, chat wanted to support someone in a squat, you could potentially say like, yo, do you need anything? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, stick your head in and be like, do you need anything? Like, is that something that you think would be helpful, Alex? Or like, I don't know.
That would be helpful, yes, to support your squad. So let's say like, when we're doing those actions, we also have jobs, we also have to support ourselves. when we're doing those actions, we are not really at work. Let's say I'm self-employed. If I don't work, I don't get money, and I have this policy. I don't take anything from government. I do not give anything to government. So we are kind of broke when we're doing those actions. So a support, material support or financial, any financial support is kind of, yeah, that would be cool.
Mm.
And we do have our GoFundMe. I can mention London Makhnovists.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a link to that? Have you already sent us a link to that?
So if you would open londonmakhnovists.com.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. You carry on.
read about it.
You carry on with what you're saying. I'll find it. No worries, and I'll make sure that chat has it, and we can revisit it at the end as well.
So, you can find information there. About our project, what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I can tell you more about it. And so we created a web page, some cool pictures and so on. The first thing you will see on the web page under our logo, it will be QR code, which will lead you to GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Ah,
very cool.
Brilliant.
GoFundMe page will tell you a bit more what we are doing. So let me introduce you to our mission right now. So we created this kind of like unofficial, hopefully it will be official soon, Makhnovists charity.
Yeah.
But right now it's like a radical charity. It's like an A-team of charities, you know?
Yeah.
So we bought a van in Slovakia, and we have some friends in Slovakia, so that's where we load the van. So right now we've been pulling off parties, very jazzy gigs, and doing a cocktail bar in Westminster.
Uh-huh.
And of course, 100% of any profit is going to the mission in Ukraine. So what's happening in Ukraine when we send the money? So the A-team of our charities, they get a list of stuff charities taken or humanitarian corridor needs. And they do the shopping, and they go to the war zone to help to build the shelters.
Yeah.
So, and they work there then until they get another list, and we send more money, and then they go there, fill up the van in Slovakia, and they go back, which works for charity. So those volunteers, they kind of ask like, should we join just your charity? Maybe it would be easier. And they're like, no, just do what you do, because it's so much easier for them to have just like separate people doing part of their job without any official kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But the idea, they kind of said like, yes, we are getting money, you know, but sometimes it's a problem transportation, or you have to leave the country and go back to get all the goods because you don't have it there. So now it's going to be third time. So now we bought our own van finally, and so it's going to be third time when the team goes to Ukraine to do that.
Wow.
And that's what we are working lately. So we kind of like quoting places, expensive places in Westminster. And then we open a bar, we do gigs, we do coffee shop, we do loads of art. So we have still loads of plans, and we are doing this kind of fundraising thing.
Sounds like my kind of gig, to be honest.
Yeah, very, very cool. Really, really exciting.
Yeah, but people, when they understood what we are doing, they kind of started to be after us. When they kind of like, oh, so you're doing a charity here, and we expected to have their support, but instead of that, they sent a license bureau.
Right.
And like, oh, you need to pay taxes to sell alcohol, even if it's a charity, and you need license to sell alcohol. And we're like, damn it, fuck you, man.
you're like, we're anarchists. Come on.
Yeah, we don't getting anything from it, you know. So yeah, even standing there, they're like, we know you're gonna do something on Saturday, and this like we're not doing on the Saturday anything. Everyone is so burned out. They're like, we're gonna check decibels, and they actually been standing there with this like decibel machine and actually checking.
Oh my god. Ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Anyone can be Agent Smith. Anyone can turn into Agent Smith.
Yeah,
literally.
At any moment. Yeah.
People love being cops.
Yeah, I mean, so this meshes nicely with what I was going to ask anyway, which was like what your kind of plans for the London Makhnovists in the future are. But I mean, you've already been telling us a bit about what you're up to now and what you're kind of planning to go on doing. But yeah, like what's kind of, I guess, I mean, you could tell us more about what you're doing now and what's the kind of immediate future, but also like what's the kind of long-term plan
So right now we are doing a little break.
Uh
Turns out I'm very tired. Turns out to run your own club is not that easy. I never knew that.
huh. Who would have guessed?
Yeah, who have guessed? Yeah. So we're doing break till the end of August,
Uh huh.
something like that, and then we carry on doing the same, but like in a little bit different way. We're going to pull off a good party, good gig, once a month. So we would gather at once more money, and we're gonna run anarchist coffee shop every week. I mean, like every day basically, except weekends.
Cool.
Nice.
I'm
Nice.
dropping the
So,
link to the
Right.
London Makhnovists in the chat to make sure everyone has it, and I'll also drop the link to the GoFundMe you were mentioning a second ago as well. Yeah.
yeah,
So the anarchist coffee shop. What's kind of the vision there?
so the vision there is like information point, political education point. So we so we've been running already this cafe in the last place before we got evicted, and it went very well. We had anarchists from far in England, from somewhere coming there, kind of like, oh, finally anarchists are up to something. We realized we don't really have the place to socialize and exchange the ideas. Our places are raves, parties, which is not the same. We are intoxicated.
Yeah.
And so we bought this coffee machine, amazing coffee machine, and we have this like we're getting very good coffee for free. So yeah, I'm trying to get more anarchist literature for it until we will open, and anarchist book fair is coming up. I'm gonna work there as well.
Yeah, that's really really cool. That's really 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 cool. All right. Cool. I've just reminded people that we'll do a Q&A shortly, and that chat can ask you any further questions. Mule, do you wanna? Do you have anything else to ask Alex first?
Yeah, not really ask, but just like I just wanted to gush a little bit because I think what you're doing rocks. And
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I co-sign whatever Mule is about to say.
think-
Don't get me in trouble now.
well, you never know. But yeah, like I literally like just think that is like it's the only thing that can happen. It's the only thing that can happen when the government refuses to acknowledge stuff, is that people will do whatever means necessary to either get the government's attention or get the people's attention to inform them that shit is not right. And I think that yous starting it and having the courage, because you said yourself, like, your first direct action that you ever did was like, occupying a former police station, and that is like an incredibly courageous feat, to want to do on your own to begin with. And then it's like that on top of that is the solidarity that you are trying to basically show everybody. It's like, I'm not doing this for any thanks. We're not doing this to be famous. We're not doing this, to run a business or anything like that. It's literally just to draw attention to things, do a bit of agitprop, take obviously, the time away from the police, who will probably be just trying to hurt minorities, if they aren't occupied with us. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to see more and more people doing, I think, especially in Britain, especially now that there is a more a bigger focus on class consciousness. So I'm just really, really, really happy that you're doing this stuff, and that the London Makhnovists are cracking on, and I give you all my solidarity and support.
Yeah, I think to co-sign that again, I think that, there already has been such a ridiculous housing crisis in the UK that never really ended. In London especially, the fact that you're a London-based group is really, highlights that. Property prices here and rent here is just absolutely absurd, and I think with the cost of living crisis going on, like, showing people the way, engaging in that propaganda of the deed, and like showing people that they can just take what they actually deserve, like just housing and fucking fix the meter so you get your power or whatever, and just take the place, because we're human beings and we actually need a place to live and our basic human needs. That's really incredible. That's just really, really cool. I did actually think of a question I wanted to ask, which was, when I first got in touch and I stopped by one of your squats, I was I was told that you'd named yourselves after Nestor Makhno because of it, like an what's the term, affinity for his views, his ideas, his theories. But then no one there actually told me what the theory specifically was that was particularly appealing. But they did tell me that Nestor Makhno invented the drive-by shooting.
Yeah, a machine gun.
Yeah, put a machine gun on the back of a horse-drawn car, right?
Yeah, the whole idea was like they have so many more soldiers, but we can be faster.
Right.
Is that actually the reason, like, behind why you want to be like they are an overwhelming force, but you're faster? Is that kind of the driving metaphor?
No, the whole idea that we are very angry kids, and we are very upset on the rich. And lately, we are targeting mostly properties investments, and it's like banks, it's rich people's property.
Fuck yeah.
The mansion, it wasn't our last action.
Yeah.
Let's say, I mean, one of the reasons that's why I'm hiding my face, because I want to keep on doing those actions.
Yeah.
And and there is war happening not only in Ukraine. There is a war happening in Yemen, and there is Saudi oligarchs which killing right now Yemen kids, and they have properties right here in London.
Right.
And tourists, don't tell me that you don't know it.
Absolutely.
We are after them, and we want them to know it. We're also after the tourists who took the donations from war supporters. We are there, and we are reading this. We are thinking about this. We are very angry. That's why we call ourselves Makhnovists, because we do want to liberate what belongs to oppressed.
Okay. Oh, fucking
Hell yeah.
hey. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Incredibly based answer.
Yeah.
And it reminds me also, I don't know if you've seen the documentary Rompiendo Puertas, which is about Operation Move In, where a whole block of Puerto Rican families in New York in, I think, the 70s or maybe the 80s just moved straight across to a completely unoccupied block right across from them and just squatted and just took the properties. There's an amazing interview at the end of that documentary where this auntie in the community, she's just talking about what they did and why they did it, and she says, next time we'll do it to the rich, like next time we'll take the fancy properties, next time we'll go uptown and we'll get the mansions and the fancy people's houses as well. And I think that, like, they didn't do that because they were just getting houses and homes for the community that they lived in. But it's really fucking cool to see that you and your comrades are doing that. You are taking the fight right to the richest people, and that's really, really cool. Really cool to see.
Yeah.
Not really getting any questions from the chat.
Yeah, chat. If you're not, that's fine. If you've got no questions, if everything that Alex has said has been completely succinct and you understand, I
do see
meaning.
a question a little earlier on that's kind of general, which was Chaos Merlin asking, have you guys heard about the Hebden Bridge Squat? They're running it as a community center offering mutual aid. So, Mule, have you heard of this?
I have not heard of this. Hebden Bridge is very close to Manchester, so it's definitely something I'm gonna keep an eye on.
You can go check out and drop them some snacks or whatever.
Yeah. Nice little day trip to Hebby Bridge.
Yeah, why not?
Also known as Lesby Bridge.
Oh.
Because there's a huge population of lesbians there.
Okay.
So yeah,
Based.
go down for a little queer outing to Hebden Bridge. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it's been a bit of a short-staffed episode. I'm just hanging out in case someone drops a burning question into the chat. But Alex, we like to do a little bit. Oh, there is going to be a question. But Alex, this will still be something to think about in the meantime. I'm going to want to give more time for chat to ask questions. On Red Planet, we like to do a little bit of homework. Our chat, the community, the audience we have, they like when we kind of give them a next step that they can do, so they're not just watching a stream, right? And go and actually do something, And bearing in mind that, like, this isn't an audience of people who are just in London. What something to think about is kind of what homework we could maybe set the chatters this week. Be thinking about that. In the meantime, Shafik Mog has asked, how much does the media coverage affect or alter how you operate?
I often say that media is way more better than barricades. And lately we have quite a lot of media support. I mean, like also like our actions are. I mean, it is for good
Mm-hmm.
kind of statement. So media support is very important. Every our action which is supported by media, it lasts longer and yeah, it gets more support.
That's really cool. Okay. So it's really important to be getting eyes on it and getting attention like this,
Yes, it's
and
one.
getting those articles you shared. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I imagine that the Belgrave Square one got quite a lot of. I mean, I know that it did because I'd already heard about it through Twitter and through a lot of articles before. So like, that kind of must have had a really big impact. I think that chat are a little shy today and haven't prepared too many questions, and that's okay. I think that it is a testament to how well you've communicated everything about the group. So I'm going to remind everyone about the GoFundMe just now, and I'm going to drop the link in chat again to the GoFundMe. And in the meantime, Alex, do you think there's like some kind of next step people who have been inspired by you today could take?
Yes, they always can visit us when we will open our next London Makhnovists Center.
Cool.
They can ask more. We do practical squatters sometimes, where you learn how to squat. Like people who don't have experience, they can learn about that thing more. And all squatters, they can exchange experiences, new things they learn, new type of alarms or so on.
Cool. All
So
right.
that's a cool thing, which is led by ASS, and since it's kind of official organization, so they're not teaching you anything illegal, so they're teaching you to squat legally.
Okay. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Oh, I'm sorry. We just had another question in. Chat, I guess, aren't shy. They're just a little bit slow today. I will blame it on the heat wave. Carrie Magic says, how difficult is it to keep utilities like water and electricity going in squats?
Usually it's not hard. You see, there's very different situations. Sometimes, like it happened when I had to do a plumbing from random pipes. I mean, we don't have money, so it's basically like legal. We've been melting the pipes even to connect it, and we did the whole piping all over the house. So sometimes you have only main pipe, which you have to. But in central, let's say when it's quite more expensive properties in central, so you do have usually electricity, heating, air conditioning, sometimes even internet.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, it's actually worth the squat.
How is masking and COVID safety managed in squat process? That's someone else's question. Swampgoth.
During COVID, you mean?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, for people now, I guess, who are COVID conscious as well.
I know the thing is like, so in my squad there is 15 people living.
Right.
We kind of isolating ourselves all together doing tests and so on,
Mm-hmm.
But like if you leave the house, you wear the mask,
Yeah.
Kind of, but if you're living in one house with 15 people and they're all good friends, none of us had to go to work, It's like, come on.
Yeah, good point.
We're living together for 5 years, it's like.
That is a great point, actually, and I think it's a good opportunity to remind everybody that, like, the whole reason that the government was keen to get everybody back to work, is because, like, they need to exploit people's wages.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the COVID rules went out the window, because, of course, if you're going to go to an office building where there's, like, not a lot of ventilation, everybody's going loads of different places, everybody's going to pubs, everybody's going to clubs, everyone's going to work, everyone's going to other people's houses.
Oh, yeah.
That's the COVID risk, right? That's
Right.
the COVID risk. But if you're like a bunch of based anarchists who like just know each other and trust each other, and you're all working in that same place, and you're also living there a lot of the time, it's going to be a lot less risky in terms of COVID safety and stuff
what
like that.
What you're saying is that
that's
being based protects you from COVID.
Well, exactly.
I mean, this happened when finally all squad got COVID.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Sooner or later, yeah.
But it wasn't also that bad because we could all suffer together.
Yeah, that does help.
At least
right?
you have
that
your
does
comrades.
help.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that, like I said, questions still aren't really flooding in, and I think that I'll just drop the GoFundMe link another time. People should check that out. And also check out LondonMakhnovists.com. That's London, MAKHNOVISTS.com to see everything they do. Huh?
We also have
on Instagram. That's all. Yeah, that's true. Also on Instagram.
Yes.
To just see the cute and fun little squats you have. I enjoy the Instagram. I think it's quite nice. Cool. So Alex, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an honor. Genuinely, so much love and solidarity to you and your comrades and everything that you're doing, because I think we just need some more angry kids, honestly. I can't express how much in favor I am of some angry squatting kids. It's good. It's good.
Same. Absolutely the same.
So thanks for coming on. And,
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Well,
all right.
That was absolutely fucking awesome.
You've jumped around again, of course. Now that I've that Alex has left the call. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna really quickly. I'm just gonna jump to something intermediate that we can finish on.
That's
let
fine.
me just go. And move that over there. Move this over here. All right. We'll be sorted in a sec. I'm improvising some Red Planet right now. I'm doing the Red Planet we can have, not the one we all deserve.
Yeah.
You all deserve better than this, chat. I'm sorry, but this is the one. This is the one you're getting for now. All right. And let's make you bigger. And there we go. Yeah, I think that was a really good chat. I'm looking forward to doing more. Hopefully with some better prep for the next few weeks. For those who don't know, Kira is on Twitch hiatus until the 25th. So I'm gonna be hosting Red Planet for the next few weeks. And like I say, I hope with a bit more preparation, because I kind of jumped in late for the stream, and then I did my best.
Listen, you will be fine.
Okay.
Now that you've had one pop at it. You jumped in head first. Now you have a kind of an idea how to swim. Yeah. And you'll be at the very least doggy paddling next time, so
I can't wait to doggy paddle. Next week we are going to be we will announce the guest on Twitter, red_planet_TV. We haven't yet fully sorted out. But next week we will be chatting with someone for the long-anticipated part 2 of our protest and riot tactics episode. For those who are familiar with the previous one, with our old episodes, we had a great chat before, covered lots of really interesting stuff with a very experienced protester and rioter, for that matter. And yeah, I'm looking forward to covering more of that detail next week, and then the week after that we're going to be having actually, Mule, you won't be there for that one because it's going to be the trans panel the week after that.
Yeah.
Just me and the whoever's. Just hanging. I was gonna say the dolls, then I was like, no wait, I should. That's not. I should have more.
Right.
I should
right.
Have more, that's not. Hang on a second. I promise to not just invite dolls. I will not let my love of the women overwhelm me.
The women. That's right.
Yeah.
Funny.
But next week, Protest and Riot Tactics Part 2. It's going to be cool. Week after that, we'll be having the trans panel, and then we will let you all know what's coming up when we have more. Is the thing sorted? Can we announce the thing yet?
No. Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Just very, very, basic stuff is done.
All
So
right.
even if we announced it, no one could do anything.
Next week,
So-
chat, there will be an exciting announcement.
Huge.
Stay tuned.
An absolutely astronomical announcement.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Someone is saying in chat, guys and dolls. That's true. Next week,
Yes.
protest and riot tactics. Week after that, guys and dolls, and
Yes.
and non-binary falls. Okay. All right. Let's.
You smashed it.
Let's. Let's raid into Luna. Let's raid into Luna. Why not?
Oh fuck yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great
let's
shout.
Raid into.
Why am I
Luna.
not following Luna on
Beautiful.
Twitch? That's terrible. What
All
a
right,
horrible
folks.
friend.
Thank you for joining us all. It's been a fun one, and yeah, tune in next week. Same time, same Sophie time, same Sophie channel for Red Planet Protest and Riot Tactics Part 2.
That's right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Very pog